Welcome back to another episode of the Cinema Sessions with myself, Keith, and as always,
Seamus. Hello, everyone.
A Dubliner's Guide to Cinema. I always forget to say that. That little tagline.
Yeah, it kind of pops up at the end, though. Makes it separate it out, make it more memorable.
Yeah, 100%. So, obviously, today we are discussing another film. That's what we do here. Mm-hmm. So, obviously...
That's why you're tuning in, presumably, everybody.
Well, hopefully we're not just talking to ourselves. But
I know for a fact that a handful of people watch it. A handful.
Yes. And we'll take it at this early stage.
Goodness,
so the film we're doing today is words to describe this film accurately, I find difficult. The amazing, superb, The Usual Suspects. And I
feel under pressure, anyone not looking at the video here. Well, we'll get into it, of course, but it is the film we're discussing. If I'm a little older than you, and I remember what a phenomenon this film was in the 90s. It was just everywhere. It was on TV all the time. You'd see clips from it. And I distinctly remember being in the local movie Magic, which was Dublin wide, because a friend of mine pointed out they used to be on Parnell Street, so it wasn't just a Southside Silver Spoon thing. And I remember someone was obviously on the phone to the woman behind the counter, and she was talking him through all the movies, and it was like the big movies at the time, and he was like, "What's this like?" And she kept having to say, "It's very violent. This movie is violent." And she goes, "This movie, The Usual Suspects, it's really, really good. It's this and it's that." But again, very violent, and I don't think there is violence in it, but
I would say it is quite.
There was a lot of, we were talking off camera, and the phrase pearl clutching was coming up quite a bit. There was a lot of pearl clutching about violence in the 90s, and of course this was kind of riding the wave of Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction, even though I think it goes its own way, but it was a huge... Yeah. It was a cultural phenomenon at the time.
Like I think it just so you can kind of get a vibe of where I'm coming from with this. I think this is possibly the greatest ever screenplay committed to film.
Wow,
that
is high praise.
I obviously think there's definitely been better executed. I don't think it's the best film ever. There's been better executed screenplays, but just in terms of story and intricate storytelling, no doubt in my mind, this is the greatest.
Well, I'm looking forward to getting into it. For if there's anyone who's uninitiated, because did they get rid of the IMDb top 250? Because it must be in the top 10. This film,
easy.
It doesn't come up anymore. But if anyone happens to not know, The Usual Suspects is a neo-noir mystery thriller from 1995, directed by Bryan Singer and written by Christopher McQuarrie. Just not going well today. Starring Gabriel Byrne, Ireland's own Gabriel Byrne, I might add, Kevin Spacey, Stephen Baldwin, Benicio del Toro, and Kevin Pollak. The film centers on a group of criminals brought together for a police lineup who get entangled in a complex heist tied to the legendary underworld figure Keyser Söze. The film has an 8.5 rating on IMDb with a Metacritic critic score of 76% and a user score of 8.5. On Rotten Tomatoes, it holds a critic score of 87% and an audience score of 96%. Made on a modest budget of about $6 million, The Usual Suspects grossed over $34.4 million worldwide. It went on to win 2 Academy Awards, Best Supporting Actor for Kevin Spacey and Best Original Screenplay for McQuarrie, and it remains one of the most acclaimed crime thrillers of the 90s. And on a personal note, friends, sure, Bryan Singer might be a sex pest, but at least that Bohemian Rhapsody movie was terrible. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of that movie. I think let's confront the elephants in the room here. This film features some truly lugubrious figures. I refer, of course, to Stephen Baldwin, who has become a hardcore Christian, and we just don't go in for that kind of thing.
No.
And also,
famous sex pest.
2 for the price of 1 here.
Oh yeah, Kevin Spacey. I didn't even think of Kevin Spacey.
We have Kevin Spacey, who I think is more widely known in the popular culture as having issues in that regard. As far as I know, no convictions. So if we seem a little on the fence here, guys.
Do you ever see them videos of him putting up videos of himself playing Frank from fucking State, and he's like, And he's playing the character.
Yeah.
From House of Cards, for anybody who doesn't know.
Yeah.
And he's doing the accent, and but he's talking about himself.
Yeah, it's like
really
an uncanny
weird,
valley thing or something. It's very
really weird because I mean, obviously, when he got found not guilty of whatever, but the guy had committed unalived himself.
Yeah, there's a lot of very strange stuff going on with that, and then but also the director of this, Bryan Singer, is trailing allegations, as I think is the collocation that we use there. Look, we're on the podcast. We just talk about the work, but people might wonder why we're not addressing it. But
I believe Bryan Singer once said to Elliot Page, formerly Ellen Page, to go over and ask someone to eat somebody out or something on the set of X2 or something like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of there were always kind of rumors about him. Now, Kevin Spacey got a lot of stick because when he was accused, that's when he decided to come out to the world. Yeah. But there was a lot of stuff. I believe Singer was openly gay. He was a director, so it wasn't as widely talked about. Kevin Spacey was. Kevin Spacey was really deeply in the closet. I remember him being asked in interviews, and it was really funny, the thing he said about it. I think it was Empire asked him, like, there's these rumors that you're gay, and or how do you feel about that? And he said, people say I'm loudly announcing my straightness. And he says, well, it's like someone accusing you of being an archaeologist. And it's like, we know you're an archaeologist. We're going to write about all these digs that you've been on. And you're like, no, I'm not an archaeologist. He says, I'm just telling people I'm not gay. And then he was. In his defense on that point, I won't defend him on any others, it would ruin a lot of people's fucking careers. We talked about it on the Volcano thing where Anne Heche was openly in a gay relationship at the time, and it fucked her career up. Yeah. So, I can't fault him there. Some of his behavior sounds a little shady, of course, but look, we may as well pull the Band-Aid off and say, but I agree with you, Keith. This is a fantastic film, and both men did very good work. We
have to separate the art from the artist. Yeah. Because, I mean, just not to dive straight in, but Kevin Spacey's brilliant in this.
He's in it. He is. I haven't seen. Obviously, hasn't done much recently. As far as he was probably still is, but certainly he was an excellent actor. Like he is brilliant in this. And Bryan Singer, who really fell into just making X-Men movies at a certain point. I was surprised watching this how good his work as a director is. The X-Men films never hugely impressed me with the direction of them, because I think a lot of it gets swallowed up in kind of studio meddling and all this, but like his work on this is excellent. And it has to be pointed out, so I believe Christopher McQuarrie today is 56, and I'm gonna hazard a guess that Bryan Singer's in and around the same age. I think he's 59. Yeah, but so this came out 30 years ago. 30 years ago, yeah. Jesus. Yeah, he was 27 directing it, I think. For McQuarrie, so that means McQuarrie would have been 24. So, like, that's... They were both very... And they made a film before this, like 26, a few years 30 years ago. Yeah, no, he would have been 26. Yeah, it's impressive for how much they pulled off, yeah. Yeah, because, I mean, I believe he only had one... Yeah, a film called Public Access, which I have never seen. Neither have I. But, that's my understanding. I don't know much about that film, but I know it impressed, for example, Kevin Spacey, for example. So there's obviously something kind of to it. I did hear an interview once with Christopher McQuarrie where he went through his whole history of like quotes. He's a brilliant storyteller. Like he's a really great interview, and he told the story of like some corporation from Japan called the Tokuma Corporation or something. It just like he made it sound weirdly strange but plausible. Like they just were in talks with them, and then one day a check arrived for like $250,000 for them to make Public Access. And then I think the same people funded Usual Suspects, basically, which is one of the reasons it turned out so well is they were just basically left alone to do their own thing, and they had to kind of find their way through it. I don't know how quickly we want to get into spoilers, but like a lot of the thing of like originally the main, not the main character, the Kuyon character, great names in this film. Yeah. He was looking for Keyser Söze. I remember, like, so they went through a lot of variations of the drafts before they got to what they hit on, which is the film everyone knows and talks about today, you know? Yeah. And if anybody hasn't seen it, stop watching and go and watch it. And go fucking watch it. This might be the greatest twist of all time. Certainly the most talked about. Yeah, I was... watch it. I'll lay my cards on the table. I think the film is absolutely fantastic, and I have to kind of fall down on that. There's some great interviews with Kevin Pollak online about just in general. He's a very funny guy, and he just calls it lightning in a bottle, and you just have to say that that's what it is.
Yeah.
There's just something magical about it. But if you study it, and I don't mean this as a criticism, but if you study the film, or if you're looking at it for like what normally makes a great film, like, you know, The Shawshank Redemption, which is filmed from around the same time, is great characters and great themes. This film just has a great story and great actors who do great character work.
Yeah.
But the characters aren't particularly deep, or it's not really getting at like what you might think of as an important theme. But it is a great film, and it's I find that kind of fascinating. Yeah,
it's a real kind of, because as you said, like it is just. How would we discussed it previously? Like A to B cinema, like, do you know what I mean? It's just a very well told story, so they're not wasting time with backstories. Like I know it does go into a little bit, but obviously,
but then how much of it's true?
Exactly, because it's all coming from the perspective of Verbal Kint.
Yeah. Spoiler alert, is an unreliable narrator.
Yes,
we can at least say that much from the jump. Yeah, it's a fascinating film. Actually, funny enough, when I saw it described as a neo-noir, which I'd never thought of it as, that really placed it in my mind, because I'm like, well, those great noir films with like Humphrey Bogart has the same level of character depth, basically. Yeah. But it's about like the world that they travel in, and it's about the story, and it's about, you know, how cool characters move through those worlds, and that this film has that in spades. If we'll hop into it, I suppose. So the opening scene. Now, this seems to be one of your all-time favorite films. So, to hit you with, you know, a really deep, insightful question, what do you think of the bit where he pisses on the fire to stop it from moving? Because it does work in a weird way, but if you describe it to someone, it sounds kind of ridiculous, yeah.
Because I mean, that's a lot of pressure in that situation. You know what I mean?
Well, he is.
I know fellas who can't use urinals. You know what I mean? Because
I actually stopped using them for years because some fella was just staring at my.
I think it's cool.
Yeah, I remember.
That's the answer to the question. Just flatly, it's cool.
If I remember the first time I saw it, I remember kind of having a laugh of not at it, but kind of going like, oh wow, like they're like the film is kind of setting itself up, like, because the film isn't like unrealistic, but it has to, in some level, not take place in the real world. Yeah, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I think in a way it was very kind of appropriate,
and it's a cool opening.
Yeah.
And there's something that I'd like to get in to straight away, because it's just the intricacies and the little details in this that, like we were discussing before, and that you sometimes miss. The amount of them in this film is unbelievable. Like, so for instance, in the opening scene, we see the apparent Keyser Söze pissing on the fire to put it out, and Gabriel Byrne has been shot and he's about to be killed. But the way the camera tracks to the ropes,
yes,
it makes you go, well, what's happening here? Even before you see it, and you're like, because it doesn't come up till later, but you kind of sticks in your head as, oh, there's something happening.
Yeah, it's hard to separate because I saw it so often when it came out, but my memory is that when it did that zoom into the ropes and stuff, I remember thinking there's supposed to be someone behind there watching, but I don't know that was my first reaction around it, you know? One thing to bring up, and it doesn't bother me now, but I will just say we mentioned him as Ireland's own Gabriel Byrne. He does not he is not even attempting an American accent. He just plays it with his Irish accent, even though he's supposed to have been in the police. He's supposedly. It just doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter.
Well, Gabriel Byrne's one of them actors that can just do whatever the fuck he wants.
That's true. Yeah, he did it in Miller's Crossing as well, which was a fantastic film. But he does do a Yank accent in some stuff. I think in End of Days, where he plays the devil. For whatever reason, he does a Yank accent.
But he's like the thing about Gabriel Byrne is fantastic actor, one of our greatest exports.
Yes,
but
indeed.
His accent work is not his strongest. It's like, you remember that film? What's that film? Sean Connery. He's meant to be Russian, and he just has to,
Hunt for Red October. He's apparently played a Russian apparently in another film, and it wasn't as lazy as that or whatever.
But that's the thing, because I think of actors like, I mean, I know that the actors I'm about to name are vastly different in skill level. Like, but you look at Jason Statham. when he's trying to do a American accent. Like in say you film like Chaos Theory or something like that, Chaos or something. He's doing
I never saw that one. Yeah.
No, what's the one? It's one of them, and anyway. But he's doing an American accent, and it's like so it's his own accent is so heavily coming through at different times. It's just like just do your own accent, which he does do in like the Meg and all different things like that.
Yeah,
whereas Gabriel Byrne's the same, you hear it constantly coming through.
Yeah, there's just something about his natural voice. Yeah, I'd be remiss if there's like two people watching this going, Seamus, you're fucking shit at doing accents, because I had to do some quote acting work where I did accents, and the phrase embarrassing doesn't begin to cover it. So to those people, I was trying for some kind of a Cockney accent, but it came off very garbled.
Right, I think you're gonna have to.
No, I'm not. It was that. Geez, I was young and I needed the money. I was too afraid to say no, but it was unsuccessful. Let's say when I'm actually impersonating people without putting any thought into it, it's like for a burst of like a sentence or two, I'm fine. But trying to do it, I actually am impressed with actors who can do it very well. So yeah, but. Gabriel, amazing. Yeah, he had a great run of it in the 90s.
He did, because I mean, I would hasten to say that there's people walking around today relatively old that wouldn't really know him.
Yeah, End of Days was the last big film I remember him doing. I think he's done some TV.
The most recent film I've seen him in was this bleeding diabolical thing with Frank Grillo playing.
Oh God.
Lamborghini, the founder of Lamborghini, and Gabriel Byrne is playing Mr. Ferrari, like, do you know what I mean?
Oh no!
And the accent, oh good God!
So he was meant to be Italian.
He was meant to be Italian, and he's clearly like a dove.
Yeah,
doing, like,
yeah. Well, if anyone who hasn't seen Miller's Crossing, yeah, just check it out. Miller's Crossing is brilliant. Yeah, but it's actually this opening scene. Sorry, bring it back to Usual Suspects. We got lost in Gabriel Byrne's eyes there. It was apparently written for another script, and it was just written as like, here's kind of a cool opening scene where you don't know like quite what's going on and all this. And I will say the only thing in the film that I think really dates it, and it's actually an outgrowing of something that I do like in the film, but did you notice watching back now how many people hold the fucking gun sideways in this film?
Oh yeah,
it was all the fucking rage in the 90s, and the Keyser Söze, like the underworld figure, holds it like a fucking homeboy sideways.
I know, yeah, but see, the thing about this is that was always like it keeps coming up, so we're gonna have to do it soon. But Face Off is the criminal holds it like this, and the cops hold it straight. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. That was just such I'd call it a trope throughout the.
It was a huge thing in the 90s, and it was. I remember actually, there's a Punisher comic where he's having a shootout with a bunch of homeboys, and they're all holding him sideways, and of course he kills them all, but he's standing over one guy to execute him, and he goes, the sights are on the top for a reason, boom. And I was like, oh, cool.
That's cool.
That's not what quite finished off the trope or anything, but it was and it's the only thing actually that makes me watch this film and go, oh, it was made in the 90s.
It's very 90s, yeah.
Everything else about it is very timeless, like the costuming. And sorry, just if anyone's like, what does he mean it was what I like about the film is, I think if it were to be made today, a lot more would be made of like the planning of the heists. They'd all be wearing fucking flak jackets and, you know, carrying Glocks and fucking... Yeah. The film is of a time, and if you watch older action movies, this is why I tend to like them more than modern ones, is they tend to be just more like, these guys are cool guys who know how to commit crimes. They don't have to... Films nowadays for the weapon stuff, it's like, oh, we went out to the ranch and we learned how to really shoot guns. I'm like, well, that's not really letting the actors bring something of themselves to the action. I was watching one of the Lethal Weapons, and I missed like the guy just being someone with a mullet who like had an open shirt and just would go and it's like, oh no, he does it because he's a cool guy living on the edge. It's not because he has the best training, which I know in real life is realistic. But I just like the way in this film they don't make a big thing of how they plan the heist. Like,
because I mean, it's not. But again, it just goes to show that it's not needed to make a fantastic story. Like,
I think so. Yeah. Like, and I like the theory behind a lot of that stuff. It was like, oh well, we should make it realistic and da 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 da. But I just prefer this kind of a thing, and maybe it's because I grew up with it. But that's my 2 cents.
Obviously, after the opening scene where we see Gabriel Byrne shot by the apparent Keyser Söze,
who was the biggest star at the time. He was the most popular actor in the film at the time.
As far as I'm fairly sure I read somewhere that it was written for him. the character. I don't know how true that is.
That
now,
I don't know. The Kevin Spacey part, I heard that all right. Kevin Spacey was very up. I saw an interview with him from the time, and he had like 4 films that year, like this, 7, Outbreak, and the other one was Swimming with Sharks, which is a much smaller but kind of a cult film. He had a big year in '95, you know. But they were not like Benicio del Toro, who'd be a very big actor now. But I think Gabriel Byrne, like you would expect, he's the main character, and he's kind of given the background of a main character, and it opens with him being killed. So you're automatically like, oh, what's going on here?
And then so obviously it cuts then to Verbal Kint given his version of events
or something.
It's like he's that's how the kind of film moves along, is he gets granted immunity from all prosecution. And he's waiting to make bail, which is when...
So he survived this massacre on a boat. There's a big shootout on a boat, Yeah, I did really like now the way they layer in a lot of the details about it, because we may as well get into the spoiler now, if that's okay with you. Well, I don't know how we can discuss it without it, because they set up, like it's a walk and talk down a corridor.
Yeah.
And the actor Dan Hedaya is talking to Charles Palminteri, who's the guy. And it's done in such a way that you'd never question it. He's just giving him information. Like he's kind of going, this guy, there's something happening, that this guy is protected from up on high by the Prince of Darkness, which is a great line because it makes it seem like a kind of a puppet master kind of a thing. But it never pulls attention towards who actually is the person, which is like, again, if they were sitting down at a computer monitor and he's like, let me tell you, this is weird. And they like, yeah, someone's protecting this guy. And then Charles Palminteri kind of, oh yeah, that's kind of odd. You would start thinking, well, who the fuck is this person? But they never do that. And that's the script, but it's also the direction. So I got to kind of tie everything together there. And it's what makes the film at the end, when you find out, you're like, oh, how did I miss that? As opposed to...
Because like I said, there's so many... It's telling you what it is long before you ever find out, and that's why it's so masterfully done. Like, do you know what I mean? It's written and directed, because when you watch the film the first time straight through, it's easy to forget all these. But when you're actually watching it back, and you actually start to notice, oh, hang on, like how is this not obvious? Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's well, like I wonder how a modern audience would take it with, you know, casting and well-known people and all this. Now I am still trying to be vague about it as much as I can, but it is. It's just very well done, because I remember, if I remember right, I saw the ending after I just kind of started watching the film, like halfway through or something, and I was still blown away. by it.
because. Like, I mean, I suppose it's going to keep coming up, so we'll just maybe not spoil it just yet, but because like there's a double twist, kind of. So it's a fake away, like, because you hear one thing and you're like, oh my god, and then obviously the real twist, and then it's like mind blowing, like, do you know what I mean?
There's like, I think the first thing that they tell you, you're kind of like, oh yeah, but there is like a dangling thread of like. Is that really it though? But I don't know what else there could be. And then you go, like
so clever.
It's famous for a reason.
It's,
like, it's masterfully done. So the conceit is then that there's a guy called Dave Coulion.
Yes,
it's clever. It's a good name. It's memorable. He's like a customs agent, which they've so many fucking federal bureaus in the US, but he's a customs guy, and he's obsessed with Gabriel Byrne's character. He has a personal thing against him. He wants to know what happened, so he just wants to have a chat with Kevin Spacey's character, Verbal Kint. And
because it's apparently because he's done this before, which we learn a bit later, where he disappears.
So he's faked his death before, and he wants to try and find more details about this, even though to
make sure he's dead or whatever.
Yeah, Verbal has been granted to me, although I did like. They do layer in some stuff of like, you know, he's a career criminal. I like the way Spacey, he's talking about. Coulion says like, oh, you're getting away with it, and he goes, oh, I've still got that weapons charge. I'm looking at 6 whole months. And I just love the way he said it, as in like, to you or I, that'd be like, oh my god. And to a guy like him, he is a career criminal as much as he's so the idea is they always call him a cripple in the film, but he's they don't explicitly say it, but the idea was the character has cerebral palsy. Or is it cerebral palsy, however
you pronounce it.
But the left side of his body, like his hand is very, and he's leaned over to one side, and he walks with a very pronounced limp. And so, you know, he's seen as, you know, the kind of lucky guy who survived the whole thing. And the way they set him up and the way Spacey plays it really is.
It's just massive.
It's brilliant. Like the guy was a brilliant actor.
So obviously we go from the deposition. Then Kevin Spacey ends up agreeing to sit down with Mr. Killian.
Yeah, kill some time.
Yeah. Because essentially, I've got 2 hours, and that's it. Do you know what I mean?
What else am I going to... Yeah, he's waiting until he can post bail, I think is the verb they use. Yeah.
And so he basically begins the story of how they all ended up at the same place.
Yeah.
And it was a botched heist.
There was a heist, and they pull in all these. So the name, my father is watching from beyond the grave, and he must have said this to me 5 or 6 times. They say round up the usual suspects in Casablanca. That's where they got like that movie, The Usual Suspects. Is it Vincent? I hadn't noticed. He would have wanted me to mention it. But that is where it comes from, and it is a great name for a movie, like The Usual. And I think that's the genesis of the film. If I remember, Christopher McQuarrie said, The Usual Suspects as a title. He saw it in a magazine article or something. It said, who are the usual suspects? Well, it's obviously the people they always bring in. And then they had the idea of the lineup, which is a famous scene. Yeah,
it's one of even people who haven't seen the film know this scene because it's had a resurgence in kind of meme culture and everything.
Yeah, it's a great conceit though of, well, obviously if you bring 5 career criminals, like kind of genius criminals together, obviously they're going to be up to no good.
Yeah, and so basically what's happening is it's showing you how they all ended up in this lineup and how it progresses. But the thing that I love most about this scene is when they're in the lineup is that it was written as really serious. But they all couldn't stop laughing. Yeah. And they were farting and everything I heard. And
apparently it was Benicio del Toro who wouldn't stop farting. And
they were all just laughing. And then Bryan Singer looked at that and went, you know what, that's better.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Because when I was rewatching it, I was just like, you could nearly just cut this scene out. Like, you could just have the shot of them, but they wanted to play. There's actually only I didn't actually count, but I think there's only 4 or 5 shots where it is people, like the actors just couldn't keep a straight face. Yeah. And what I find interesting and maybe speaks a little to his character is, at the end of it, the scene, for anyone who fucking for some reason hasn't seen it, is the reason they pulled people in is because someone heard a voice during this heist that they've been arrested for, and the thing that the person said was, "Hand me the keys, you fucking cocksucker," which is kind of a funny thing to have to say. But they're all going through it and they can't stop laughing. But then it gets to Kevin Spacey, and the story from the set was, we all had the giggles and we couldn't stop. But Spacey says it with this flat psychopathic demeanor of like, hand me the keys. And I couldn't help but wonder, does that speak a little bit to the actor's temperament of, oh no, well, I'm not going to laugh like the rest of you guys. I'm dead on the line. And I was like, something odd. But it's a very effective moment. And it's one of those kind of, without giving anything away, subtle things that point to stuff that's later on. Yeah.
So obviously then we see them in the jail afterwards, which is where Stephen Baldwin's character mentions a job that they can all get in on. And there's this kind of... there's kind of a bit of ribbon of Gabriel Byrne's character because he's apparently gone straight and he's banging this lawyer.
Yeah, Stephen Baldwin does have a great line because they say, "Oh, he's gone straight. He's shacked up with some lawyer," and Stephen Baldwin goes, "Is that true? Are you a lawyer's wife?" Like, whoa, a lot of. And I will say, it was one of the things. There's a really funny interview with Kevin Pollak online, and he's asked about this, and he goes, well, you know how it's lightning in a bottle? Stephen Baldwin is great in this film. Him and Stephen Baldwin apparently hate the fucking sight of each other. Yeah. And Stephen Baldwin is legitimately great, and he brings more to the character than I think is on the page.
Yeah, definitely. Because they're all, even Benicio del Toro in a smaller role, they're all very memorable. Well,
he's the key example of Benicio del Toro. We can maybe get into that, but Stephen Baldwin is like, he's noticeably brilliant in it, and he and again, anyone curious about, just type in Kevin Pollak Usual Suspects on YouTube, and he fucking hates Stephen Baldwin. He goes, well, you know, Stephen Baldwin showed up on the first day wearing leather pants, and he had not arrived on a motorbike or a horse. He says, what does that tell you about someone? There was something going on between the two. We'll come to it maybe later, but there's some moments that I noticed when I was rewatching it. The way Stephen Baldwin said, it's actually a famous line, I think it was in the trailer, where he goes, there's nothing that can't be done. The way he says it, I can't put my finger on it. It's just kind of magic. Like, it's not a cool guy going like, there's he says it with like this kind of far away kind of voice, like very, and when they actually show the shootout, there's a moment in it where he just kind of has his back up against the wall and he's been going around like killing all these guys. And he has a moment where he just kind of stops and you can see like he's nearly overwhelmed or something. Like that's what I think helps kind of push the film beyond just being like a puzzle box kind of a great film. They let the actors do some very good work that gave the characters kind of life. And maybe will we talk about Benicio del Toro now, since there's a bit in this where this is the scene where he says something and Kevin Pollak's like, what did you say? Because he is unintelligible. Like,
but this was an acting choice. He knew that he may be forgotten in a sea of fantastic performances, and without spoiling the whole thing, he does die quite soon, in about halfway through.
Yeah, I think it's actually later than that, but he does seem like someone who's out of it a lot quicker. He does die sooner than any of them.
And the reason he decided to make this kind of unintelligible, weird accent is because he wanted to make sure people remembered him. Yeah, and he did that job.
I have to give full credit again to Bryan Singer, who knew what he was up to and was just kind of like,
let him go. Go ahead. Because even in the lineup, when he's saying the thing and your man goes, in English, please.
That was apparently Bryan Singer. So the first day they all shot with him again, and this is going back to a Christopher McQuarrie interview I heard, and he said, they did a take or whatever, and he said the actors all had a little huddle, and they said Gabriel Byrne's like the leader. And I don't mind it when Yanks do Irish accents, so he kind of impersonated. He said Gabriel Byrne went up to Bryan Singer, was like, Bryan know it all. Due respect to Benicio and his process, none of us can understand the fucking word that he's saying. And McQuarrie's accounting of it is, and him and Singer have a kind of a tempestuous relationship, I think. But he said Bryan like scanned through the movie, realized it didn't matter a fuck if you could really understand him or not, and said, okay, well then if you can't understand him, ask him what he said. And there's a genius to it. It is, I'll try and tell as quickly as I can, but McQuarrie tells the story of he had arguments with Benicio del Toro. You probably don't even know the lines in there, but there's a line where he says, someone put their finger up my asshole, Benicio del Toro. And he said Del Toro called him up at like 2 a.m. He's like, oh, my character, he wouldn't stand still for that, man. And he goes, look, it's a funny line. And if you can say it, great. And if not, fine. Incidentally, what are you doing in the film? And he goes, well, I am Puerto Rican, but my character has a Jewish last name, and I got them to wax my eyebrows like I'm Chinese. So I'm going to play it like a black Puerto Rican Chinese Jew. And then he's like, McQuarrie said I wasn't supposed to talk to him. So he said I was the only one the next day on set who knew like a black Jewish Puerto Rican Chinese person was going to show up. But he is so funny and so memorable. Like,
it's so well played, like, do you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, even like in terms of any of the scenes where they're all in it, it's usually I wouldn't say it's not meant for comic relief, but it brings levity, do you know what I mean, to
and you could see
some more intense scenes. Like, you
could wonder, like, did all the other guys think, oh, he's fucking stealing the scenes or whatever? Well, apparently they were just like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, they were probably like, you're going to be edited out. Like,
the fact that it worked and that he was allowed, but like, it's the fact that he was allowed to do it grand, but the fact that it worked is what makes the film, like, it just had a load of these, not an accident, it wasn't an accident, but the fact that it actually worked is kind of the accident, I suppose, you know?
Now, it cuts back from here, the initial lineup and stuff, back to, this is one of the things you might have missed. So he requests a cigarette. I was about to call him by his actual name.
Yeah.
Verbal requests a cigarette from Chaz Palminteri's Dave Kewion, and he gives it to him. Now he struggles to light it. He can't light it with his hand.
Yeah.
And so Chaz lights it for him. Now, when we return to the story, and basically, up until now, Gabriel Byrne has basically said, no, I'm not getting involved. And they're all leaving, and they're all kind of looking at Gabriel Byrne, and Gabriel Byrne's looking back. They're all on opposite, completely different places, right? Kevin Spacey is smoking. How did he light the cigarette? And also, he's smoking it like this, which is famously a Turkish way of smoking.
No shit, really.
Yeah.
I didn't pick up on that now.
That is, like, you see this shit. And then once we also, here's something that needs to be pointed out. Because when he goes back to telling the story, just before you see him smoking and stuff, Chaz Palminteri takes a sup of his
Yes.
yoke, and you can see that he's looking.
Yeah. Apparently at the time that shot was commented on, like it was seen as like over the top, or like that's a really weird angle. But the idea is he's reading the bottom of the coffee cup, yeah,
which will come
and he
into
again
play
has
later.
it is amazing like how they get away, because the look on his face when it
literally
zooms in, yeah, he is like he's up to something, but you never fucking put two and two together. Yeah, I would. There's a nice, and this is again just going back to the thing of like the actors bringing a lot to it. The scene where they're outside the police station, the character work with Gabriel Byrne and James Cameron's wife, Edie Finneran is the character's name. There's a real thing going on there where he's like distracted and he's like, oh, the police have ruined me. And she's like, I love you. And like, it's there and it works. It's, not what you really remember from the film, but there is enough of the film is not about the characters. It's about the story. Yeah. But like they pepper that stuff in well enough that, and then you can drive yourself mad going, well, how would a Verbal have known to tell that part of the story? Is how real is that? Or I have to say with Gabriel Byrne's character, I take the story as it's told at face value, that he was that, because he's the more typical lead character, the criminal with the heart of gold who's kind of pulled back into it. Like they do a lot of stuff like where he only signs up for the next heist because no one gets killed, and you're like, oh, well, he's the decent criminal. Yeah. Do you take that kind of stuff at face value as well?
I would, because I mean, it's not up until later where you start even questioning anything in relation to Gabriel Byrne's character. It's shown and played as, well, no, this is a fella who's actually tried to change his life, and get on straight.
Charles Palminteri, like the way he tells it, you're like, geez, this is a very bad guy, like he's a murderer, and if you're just a witness he'll take you out, and none of that stuff is ever contradicted, No. But as I say, I still take it as like the character is legitimately sympathetic. Whether that's naive or not, I don't know. Maybe it's better to be naive.
So I think we kind of missed this, but obviously there's been a survivor of the shootout on the boat, because obviously. And he's heavily burned. I can't remember what his name is. It's
Oshkosh Kobash or something. And actually, we missed as well. Fucking Clark Gregg, Agent Coulson himself, is one of the doctors bringing the FBI agent into. Giancarlo Esposito is the FBI. He's very memorable again in a not particularly flashy role, or Anton. He's very good.
This is kind of what, because we kind of learn of the character of Keyser Söze. Through this character, and I fucking love it because he's just rambling in Hungarian or whatever. There's Keyser Söze.
Well, it's funny you mention that, because again, I just kept thinking of the lightning in the bottle aspect of it. So there's him, and the way he just says Keyser Söze, you're like, wow, that's brilliant. And the guy later on the boat where he's like, I'm telling you, it's Keyser. I can't even fucking do it. But even the way they say it, you're like, Jesus, their voices just sound great.
But it's such a Christopher McQuarrie is a genius, because that is the coolest, most badass name ever written down in a film. Yeah, and the way he delivers it, the way the guy in the bed delivers it, Keyser Söze.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Originally, it was Keyser Söze, which is a guy's actual name that they know. And they actually, Charles Palminteri had been cast and everything, and Keyser Söze is way better. Like, it sounds way better. But it was a last minute kind of a thing for it to be Keyser Söze, and this might be the ultimate spoiler for anyone who for some reason has made it this far, hasn't seen it. They looked up, they must have wanted a name with an S, and they looked up in a Hungarian, or is it Turkish to English dictionary, and Söze means talks too much. Okay. So the character's name is King Keyser Talks Too Much. But what a fucking great name. It's so memorable.
And it's just because there's real emphasis put on how it's pronounced throughout the film. So
the Hungarian guy kind of says Söze, but it just sounds like, well, that's what it would be like in Hungarian, basically. And I thought it was a great choice to make them Hungarian, which is like weirdly like obscure. Like it's not like the most common country you've ever heard of.
It's they're not Russians. Like,
and I want to say as well, Hungarian is like an incredibly difficult language to learn or something. I remember hearing that. So I saw a Hungarian movie a few years ago. It was actually quite good, but I'm told it's a very difficult language to learn. I don't know whether that plays into the movie or not.
That's where we kind of the FBI agent Giancarlo Esposito contacts Dave Coulion, because he obviously knows that he's on the hunt for Keyser Söze. And this is where Kevin Spacey's kind of forced. What would the word be? It feels like he's obviously up to something because he has a very bad reaction when Chaz Palminteri
he's
comes
left
in.
out Keyser Söze to the whoever he was deposed by in the other scene. Yeah. I don't know that it plays too much into, but I think if we go to there, we've kind of skipped past the New York finest taxi service, which is just kind of a cool. Yeah. That was a kind of scene that was shown as a clip a lot. And I have to give credit to, and I kind of missed this, that was seen as like cinematic spectacle at the time. Like a bunch of guys in vans with shotguns pointing them at guys in a cop car and robbing them. But it works. Like it's something that I'd be like, man, if I saw that in the cinema, I'd be like, I'm getting my money's worth here. It doesn't have to be fucking, Superman fighting fucking whatever the hell it was in the latest Superman movie. And like it's just kind of like something that's you're getting your money's worth seeing. It's a great little set piece. And I wonder them is one of the reasons
the cops are funny though as well because
they're very well cast.
Because they're essentially there just to show that okay, these guys actually know what they're doing. Like, do you know what I mean? But they're very good. Even the guy in the back, like he looks like some fucking jewel thief or whatever.
I should have looked up who the casting age was because it's
very well
brilliant
cast
in that film. Yeah. Is this the kind of thing I wonder if they'd made this fucking today? Because I don't know, maybe this is just me on YouTube, but there's apparently like a few videos out now going like, actually, Benedict Cumberbatch is Sherlock. Isn't that clever? Because blah, blah, blah. Would this be the kind of thing now where they make movies going, here's why the usual suspects' heist scenes are actually stupid? And like, well, it just like, all right, it demands perfect timing. I'm like, it's a fucking movie. And the idea is just, these are the badass criminals who know what they're doing. Yeah. Like, I don't need Anton. Maybe I'm being unfair to these hypothetical people that I've just created in my mind. But that kind of criticism just drives me up the fucking wall. So I'm like, look, it doesn't matter. Like, it's just cool to watch. It doesn't have to be absolutely. By the way, maybe it'd be really fucking boring if it wasn't. But it's a violent kind of action scene. It's a heist. No one actually gets killed. But it's just really nicely done. It's well executed. Well directed,
well executed, And again, it's just we'll hark back to the screenplay. It's just even the writing for the dialogue between them in the cop car. It's just really good, and it's like okay, I'm here for this. Like,
he's very. That seems to be Macquarie's kind of sweet spot. I will say. I prefer the film he directed as kind of a follow up to this, which is Way of the Gun. But again, it's just a really badass crime movie. Yeah. And I wasn't in love with the Jack Reacher he did, but I like his Mission Impossible movies they're more leaning into the action. But he is not like a dramatist. He is a dramatist. Sorry, he's not a deep character guy. He's a cool story mechanics guy with cool characters who are quite gritty and all this. And it seems to be his sweet spot. And he just executes them so well that, as you say, like the kind of the clockwork mechanism of the plot just. Brilliant stuff.
It's unbelievable, So, after we see the heist, that's when we learn of, or Kuyan learns Keyser Söze's name, or that he was involved, and he comes back into Verbal, and Verbal has a really bad reaction.
He's like, oh shit. Yeah. Who's Keyser Söze?
Oh.
He is good. Actually, Chaz Palminteri is kind of underrated in how great he is in the film.
I think he's brilliant.
He is amazing.
And it's so perfect casting. Like.
Yeah, and it's not, again, like on the page, it's just a guy, he's just like a stock cop character, but the way he plays it and brings, he did say some stuff about like, he seems slightly pretentious, honestly, Chaz Palminteri, but he's a brilliant actor. Like he goes, well, I wouldn't want to play something if I couldn't bring something to it. So I think he did feel this for Verbal. I think he had sympathy for him. He doesn't always show. Some of the stuff he says to him. Oh, yeah. Because you're stupid. Because you're a cripple. And I'm like, Jesus, all right, man. That's a bit harsh. But he is like, he's trying to get something out of the guy. So he's kind of pushing his button. Yeah. But he is brilliant. Like, and again,
there's great chemistry between them. As well, because obviously, like, I mean, in a real situation, okay, there wouldn't be that chemistry between people. But again, this is a film, and there needs to be, even if you're playing polar opposites, there needs to be that synchronicity almost with actors, and they have it in spades here with Spacey and
I do have to, again, I think I was putting a lot of this on Bryan Singer, but the work at the DP's name is Newton Thomas Siegel, which seems to be slightly backwards to me, but that's apparently his name. Like, I never feel claustrophobic in that room. And 90, not 90, but like a lot of the film takes place in a pretty unimpressive office.
Yeah.
And it never feels that way. The angles are great. The lighting in the film is brilliant.
Yes.
And I do sometimes get pangs of like jealousy about like making a low budget film in the USA, because this was not a big budget film. And the fucking actors they have in it, like they've Chaz Palminteri in a side role, Dan Hedaya. I'm like, imagine making a low budget film in fucking Ireland. Which like
cast a fair city.
You'd have Colin Farrell and he'd take up 90% of the budget. This is like if you're lucky enough to get fucking Colin Farrell, and then like the rest of it be no one you've ever heard of. And, you know, it's not to knock. You can have great actors anywhere, but like they do have a great pool of resources in the USA. Especially if I assume they filmed a lot of this in LA, where a lot of them live. So they don't know how fucking lucky they are sometimes. You know, like the cast of this, even at the time, was impressive, but now it's even bigger, obviously. Yeah, it's as I say, kind of intimidating. Back when I was more driven to actually do my own stuff, you'd be like, how would they do that? And you're like, oh well, they've just access to these people. You know, like exactly. Great DPs, great. Cast and crew and all this, So what's because the film, folks, for anyone who hasn't seen it, it kind of leaps around in time, which is very hip in the 90s. But this film doesn't do it in the same way Pulp Fiction did. It doesn't really call attention to
what's
it.
happening is it's rehashing a story essentially. So obviously the story that Verbal is given to the prosecutors or whatever it is not accurate, and then we know that's not the case, so now he's backtracking. So this is where, because we kind of jump back again, and then so we see them go back to
they pull off the heist,
and then we see when he's explaining when we find out who Keyser Söze or that Kuyon's looking for him, they go back and it's Peter Green,
the guy, if anyone doesn't, Zed from Pulp Fiction,
the guy who no, I was going to say the guy who got raped, but no,
the guy who rapes Ving Rhames.
He's looking at him.
It's the
him.
other guy. He's Zed.
Zed's dead.
We're getting all mixed up here. Brilliant location for that. It's apparently kind of a well-known location. So most of these guys, the criminals, are based in New York, and then they go to LA at a certain point in the story. And apparently there was some kind of like, Bryan Singer said something like, New York is Kansas and LA is Oz or something like that, so it gets a little more fantastical. But it's a pagoda or something. Really enjoy, and you're
unbelievable
using your, even if you weren't in Pulp Fiction, you'd really remember him, Peter Green. And the character is essentially a stock character, but there's just something brilliant about the guy.
It's very, but because it's very well written and it's just cool, and it's like, and it kind of again very well done, just driving the story along. Because now we learn, because when you're actually talking about it and you're looking at it, because you can kind of see that, oh well, he's just making these people up to, when you look back at it, like,
he's not credited in the film apparently, and I did never find a solid answer, but the idea being like the character maybe doesn't actually exist at all, you know. But he is just so and I love how friendly they are, the first man, like, I'd expect nothing less from you. I did find it very interesting the way Gabriel Byrne tells him about how he killed the guy that he knew. And there is like a slight smirk on his face, like he's kind of enjoying the fact that he's telling the guy. Like there's a lot of that kind of interesting kind of character work in there. Like he goes like, I shivved him. And he kind of looks at him as in like, what are you going to do about that, motherfucker? And the guy's like, oh, well, okay.
I'm sure you had your reasons.
Yeah, like, I mean, it is the kind of the business they've chosen.
Exactly,
in The Godfather, But like, I remember I'm like, jeez, that's a bit fucking, all right, mister. And,
so they give them he obviously puts them on to another job. This is where kind of
this one gets botched.
And Gabriel Byrne's not happy about it. To take the job, or it was one job.
Actually, there's a line in that where, and it's again that cool shot of the pagoda, and it's a voiceover from Spacey going, "A guy can lie to anyone, but not to himself. It took one day of McManus nagging him when he went back to work." And I was like, "Yeah, that's very true. Like you can't turn your back on who you are. You know." I do like the following heist scene. Again, it's very. If you look at it on the page,
in the parking structure.
It
shouldn't be as cinematic. I don't think.
I was just gonna say, it's
because at the end of the day, all it is they're in like a multi-level parking structure.
Yeah,
it's grey walls. It shouldn't work as well as it does, and it's just shot so well.
Yeah, no, they did shoot it on film, and I believe it was anamorphically shot. Certainly in 235. Whether it was anamorphic or not, I'm not sure. But yeah, it's just, and I remember when geez, had I seen the film or so? Whether I saw the woman on the phone at Movie Magic was like, it's very violent. The only bit I could think of was the bit where Stephen Baldwin shoots the two guys at the same time. It was quite, there's blood and all this, but it's not like that bad. But
he's not hacking heads off.
That is very cool, like when he shoots them both. It's kind of unnecessary, but it's still very cool.
It's cool though. But again, it's an unreliable narrator. Like, this didn't happen.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? Or it didn't happen like this. Or whatever.
And there's so much stuff like that you don't question, but like it's a kind of a hint for later. But he's the one who kills the guy, you know,
because it's so, and it's just cool because obviously it's verbal recanting the story, but it's so amazing. So it's Verbal Kint. It's kind of a misdirect because it's Verbal Kint is the great storyteller, not Christopher McQuarrie.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And that's the way the film plays. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's
because as you're watching it, you're just locked in. Do you know what I mean? It's not like, oh, this writing is spectacular.
Well, now there is some stuff that you kind of go from a practical level, which is not how you should really look at it. Like, because in the scene, it's revealed that Verbal Kint killed a guy for like just not handing over the case, and then you're like, well, he's obviously not telling that to the guy. So this is obviously meant to be true. But how much of it, like when you look back at it in hindsight, you go, how much of it is true?
But or if it happened at all.
Yeah, that's why I kind of take the line of Gabriel Byrne had reformed himself, because it makes no sense to put it in there that he was reluctant to kill the, like, you know, if he were that hardcore, he would have just killed the guy. Because he's like, hand over, like, give me that fucking case. The way he says it is great. But yeah, it's just very I
love the fact that he chose to keep his accent.
What's interesting is the more you look at it, the less it falls apart in a weird way. Because you could see looking at it, sure, that's all just bullshit, but you find yourself going, well, like,
what is bullshit
what's
and what
he
isn't?
getting at if he's like, what is it? What am I watching? And of course, ultimately, the whole film is completely made up, as all films that are not based on true stories are. But it hangs together more the more you look at it, and like, that's the lightning in a bottle kind of thing.
Yeah, that's it. It's like, it's just everything is perfect. Every note is.
Yeah, they were like, it's one of those things where you know, why is the sequel so shit? And it's like, well, you weren't coming at it from the same place. Things where maybe you didn't have a story to tell. You're all in different places in your lives now. Who knows? But yeah, this is why I had a fucking horrible moment. I was like, they're not gonna fucking ever do a sequel to this, or like, can you fucking imagine the legacy sequel with an 80-year-old Gabriel Byrne and a recast Kevin Spacey presumably or whatever? Fuck,
but he's on the comeback now.
I've heard as much. Yeah. Look, I don't know what to make of that one. That's
sure, that's for another podcast.
Yeah, if anyone wonders why I just made that comment, I don't fucking spend all my time reading the news stories on it, so I just don't know all the full facts. It does sound very shady, but I think it's directly after this, because if they find out, so they were told this is jewels that they're stealing, but it actually turns out to be drugs,
heroin, I think.
And again, just a scene that on the page is not that spectacular, but the scene where they face off with Redfoot, the Purine, is like so memorable. But it's one of my favorite lines ever in a movie where so they're all fucking off, fuck you, motherfucker, and he flicks a cigarette. Now that's a famous moment where he flicks a cigarette. But the line here, he goes, "Hey, do me a favor, get the fuck off my dick." And I'm like, what a great line. What is that? Get off my dick. And I'm like, brilliant. But that was apparently unplanned. So if anyone, again, who hasn't seen her for whatever reason doesn't remember, an actual cigarette gets flicked at Stephen Baldwin and seemed to hit him right in the fucking eye. And the ash and all that, like fiery ash flies out, and it's really spectacular. And he's like, fuck. And then the guns come out and they're all pointed sideways. Kevin Pollock's a big on the sideways gun pointed. But it's, again, just great stuff and kind of believable. And
now this, it's definitely, because it's just so cool, because and they're both. So when we meet Peter Green and then when we meet him the second time, it's like they're two polar opposite scenes. Everybody's friendly, and then it's everybody's like,
they're mad aggro the next time.
And it's just brilliant. It's so cool. And this is obviously where we're introduced to this guy. He explains Kobayashi. I don't know. Keyser Söze's name comes up, I think.
That's in the Kobayashi scene.
Yes.
Now, I did want to ask, like, so the character's name is Kobayashi. Peter Green calls him a limey. He seems to be playing it as an Indian. So there's something very, very strange.
Famous, I fucking think Pete Postlethwaite is fantastic.
Yeah, he's just another link in the chain of, like, he's like the perfect actor for that part, but the perfect kind of actor. He's a huge theater guy, apparently, and he just plays the words as perfectly as you possibly, like the way he emphasizes things.
It is an amazing scene that follows the aggro between Redfoot and the guys. Because it's like, obviously, have you noticed this though? I not only noticed this really on second and third viewing in the last few days. And Kobayashi's actually standing in the room for a long time before he realises he's there. But it's only a shot. Like it's not focusing on him or anything. Like he's just there because, and it kind of adds to this kind of spectre of something.
Well, that's what I mean is, how many fucking movies have you seen, like the associate of the main bad guy who speaks in very heightened English, like, who has like a British accent and who's mysterious? This is just amazing. Like it's just not lazy, or it's not just doing it. It's doing it so well. But again, a lot of it, like, if the words weren't good enough, it wouldn't be good enough. But the fact they cast Pete Postlethwaite, like,
unbelievable.
Who Irishmen will always be very fond of for In the Name of the Father.
Yes.
I always I had it in my mind for ages that he actually was Irish. He did play another Irish character in
the Town.
In the Town,
he's fucking brilliant.
He's great in the fucking Town.
I clipped your daddy's nuts. And
that little monologue.
And he's just clipping a rose bush or something.
He really reminds me of the way he delivers things of Ben Kingsley.
I gave your mother a taste and all this. Some really royal stuff. Like,
but the way he acts in the scene, like the way he emphasizes, like, it seems Miss Finneran was a little too efficient in it. Like, just great. Like, just a brilliant technical actor, and that's exactly what that role needed.
Because obviously. And now that I'm talking about it, it's like, obviously, it's yoke backtracking. So he's basically saying, it's where you should realise that the first story of them all meeting in the cop shop was bullshit. That's because it's literally telling you as much. Do you know what I mean? Yeah,
well, there's still like nice little details of, they always underestimate Verbal.
Yes.
So because in the opening scene, like, we see all the other guys in the lineup scene, we see all of them getting arrested, and it just cuts to him there, and he's like, I don't know why I was there. And in the Kobayashi scene, he goes, I know you and you. I assume you are Mr. Kint. And it's like, well, you're not really that important.
Yeah.
And
but he still has a foil on him though.
It's just little details like that. And
it's just cool that because they obviously, Kobayashi explains the situation. He says, my employer, who is Keyser Söze, and this is why you've wronged him.
Yeah.
Which is so cool.
That's great.
Because it immediately just gives stakes. Because I mean, anything less than that. And it's kind of like, because he could have just said, my employer wants yours. Yeah. And here's the foil on you. And that's okay. But just the fact that they've all wronged him somehow.
Yeah, and the way how he knows all the details of it, and
it's fantastic. And the fact that then you have, like, Benicio, everything I think it's Stephen Baldwin actually goes, everything I've done since kindergarten is in here. Like, you know what
brilliant.
I mean? So well done.
Yeah, the way he introduces the job though, it's like very dangerous. He does not expect all of you to live.
You said you were not good at accents, and I am sorry.
That in a quick burst.
That is very good.
If you ask me to play the scene, well, I'm just imitating him as the thing. To come up, but hats off to whoever cast him. And there's actually I have, as you can see here, of the DVD, and it was quite a big DVD at the time because they had a good making of. There's a weird thing in it where there's like outtakes from the interviews for the making of, and there's a bit, and I don't know if it means that, and it was just him fucking around, but they've a clip of like Kevin Pollak going, "Oh, you think you're going to get us to talk about Pete, huh?" Yes, we all love working with Pete Postlethwaite. And I was like, is that a reference to the fact the guy was a bit difficult? Or is it just like him fucking around? Apparently, Pete Postlethwaite, I think on the commentary track, it was either Macquarie or Bryan Singer says he'd had a skinful the night before. And he comes in and gives like one of the best performances I've ever seen. Like, you're like, fuck me. Like,
but that's
brilliant.
So typically like
the British kind of actor.
Yeah, but it's not even that. It's just because like you, I always think he's Irish. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So that's when you said that. That's what I was thinking, and then you said British.
I wonder what his background is, because he's just a brilliant. He worked with Spielberg on The Lost World, and there's a quote from Spielberg just calling him, he's like the best actor in the world.
He's great in that as well. Yeah, he plays the hunter.
I can see Spielberg, him being exactly the kind of actor Spielberg likes, which is, when you're here, you should say that line. When you're here, you should do this. When the camera's on you, that's when you say this. And he just strikes me as someone could do that like perfectly. That's what I said earlier. He reminds me of Ben Kingsley. Like, he's like, what are my lines? Okay, I'm going to learn them and I will say them absolutely perfectly. Like not a method guy, like a guy who's just like a great, like kind of technical actor. And like the amount of scenes I've seen that try and do this thing, like the guy speaking in polite, kind of heightened English. You know, like I work in the underworld, but I'm well spoken and I wear a nice
the private school.
Yeah, this is just, I can't think of a better example of it.
It's just like, and I mean, it's like we don't like to, even though it's very clear that we both are big fans of this film. It's important to try not to gush over it, but this.
It's difficult.
It's difficult at times.
Like, and it's exactly what the film needs at that moment. You know,
exactly.
The up and
it's just, you just always love the fact that he was hanging around in the back for a good 4 minutes. Like.
Yeah, and they even reference it in the scene, but when he says the name, it cuts to all the suspects. I'm like, oh my fucking God. And that is as important as building all the other stuff for who Keyser Söze is. And I literally was like, judging by the reaction, Mr. Kint, I can assume your associates are familiar with. That was a little more stereotypical Indian. But like the way, just everything is set up as like, who is this fucking... And that's what I mean. Like the film is not taking place in the real world at this point. How could a person like that exist? Yet you believe it within the... Like there's something in the story.
There's no moment where you go, oh well, that's just unreal. You can, when you're looking back on it, you can go, well, that's not. But when you're sitting down and you're watching this film,
the reality of the film,
you're never like, oh well, that's
what I mean. Like if they'd done it, a modern like version of this wouldn't, where they like have realistic plans for the heist, wouldn't work, because I'm like, it doesn't work if it's the real world. It works if it's a place where, oh, they're cool guys who are criminals, so that's why they're so good at doing X, Y, and Z. That's where it works. That's where it lives, you know. So that isn't that where they decide? Oh, this is where Benicio del Toro goes to the great beyond, isn't it? Because he decides to run.
Yeah,
and that is just a very simple scene of where they find his body that could have been very stock, and there's just a lot of great acting going on.
And there's some great writing in it as well. The only thing is that does kind of annoy me here is we have to bury him, and they go fucking shoveling with their hands. Like I always thought that was a bit like. I mean, you're not going to bury him deep enough that
I actually thought that was kind of nice. I didn't think of the logistics of it, but I thought that kind of gives a nice shade into Stephen Baldwin's character. Like this actually was.
And he was working with him for years.
Friend,
and all this,
yeah, and I will also give mention to the huge amount of phlegm that shoots out of Stephen Baldwin's mouth when he's shouting down Kevin. I'd assume, and they apparently hated each other. I assume Kevin Pollak was not happy.
Yeah, he probably had a fucking garlic sandwich beforehand.
Because now it's, and it's like whoosh, fly, and he's right in his fucking face as well. Like Jesus.
Is it here? Or just after this, where Kevin Spacey, or who's explaining Keyser Söze? Oh, it's Gabriel Byrne, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I think
because he's explaining what it is.
Well, the full backstory of Keyser Söze, the thing done with the kind of stuttery camera thing, I think it's just after. Fuck, I can't remember where that comes. If it's before or after the suspects are told about, it must be just after that. Yeah. That is brilliant, like myth making.
But it's just phenomenal because you're not expecting what happens. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, there's such a brutal logic to it.
The Hungarians don't like Keyser Söze, or they want to take over his business.
Yeah, so the thing is, they're the kind of guy, and this is the kind of thing that you sit around brainstorming about, like, well, we would be the most badass criminals. So the idea is they just decide, these hypothetical Hungarians, or the backstory of Keyser Söze, if we want to be powerful, we just have to be willing to do what the other guy won't. Yeah. So they won't attack your family, we will. They won't like just massacre everyone, we will. Yeah. So they try and do this to
and so
Keyser Söze.
Keyser Söze is, did you nearly say the name there, did you?
I don't the actual name, no, I don't think so.
So obviously the wife gets hairy aped, unfortunately. Just for the algorithm.
For the algorithm, yeah. But the way it's filmed, like with that kind of stuttery kind of blurry style,
and it makes it more. It kind of makes you. There's something visceral about it as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's mythical. There's kind of a,
and then obviously Keyser Söze comes bursting in and kills them all, but also kills his family. Yeah, because what's the point in having them if they're going to be used to hurt me? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's fucking.
Well, it's the story. What's genius about it is told as a myth. Yet it is. I love the way he goes like the one I heard, the one I believe, and you're like, oh, it's in a mythical realm, but you're also being told, well, you know, who's to say? Like maybe the idea of these guys thought they were, you know, King Shit a Fuck Mountain with something. Then there's a guy who's like, what was the line he says? He decided he would show these men of will what a will really was.
Yeah,
and you're
yeah,
like, oh, you think coming in and killing someone else's family is hardcore? I'm going to kill my own
family, and I'm going to leave you alive to go and tell the story.
Like, all right, well, yeah, like how can you defeat someone like that? That was brilliant, and the way
because it makes the stakes of what's going on. Because like you were speaking about earlier, it's like the way it peppers in and layers things. Because like I mean, obviously we all know like Keyser Söze is a big deal, and we need to know who he is. But this just fucking takes him to a. This is like Darth Vader level movie villain. Like, do you know what I mean?
And again, why does it work? It's hard to say, but there's a shot of just a guy, and they chose him apparently because of the way his elbows bend, like his arms wouldn't fully extend. The character they have playing Keyser Söze in the flashback, it's a dude with long hair and a cool jacket walking away from an explosion. Yet it's not cliched. It's brilliant.
Yeah, it's very. I always think of Robert Rodriguez when. It's
funny enough.
It's very Robert Rodriguez.
I think Desperado came out the same year. I think that's 95. Yeah. It's very, very weirdly similar because Antonio Banderas has long hair now as well. Yeah, just a bunch of things just work together as you know. Like,
and he's very clearly Turkish.
Yeah. There's no question. Which maybe is not exactly what's going on.
Maybe it's not accurate.
Yeah. So there's from there. They go into, so they say, fuck this, we're not going to go. So they were told basically, we know who you are and you're going to do this really dangerous job for us or else, basically.
And they decided to, you can get to us.
Yeah, so we're going to you. Yeah, again, just a very cool kind of
And it is how it all goes. Yeah, it's just because, and it's real quick as well. Because there's not a lot of screen time, but there's obviously longer scene taking place.
There's always kind of clever techniques, like so the way so that they're going to go after Kobayashi in like an office building, and he's in a lift with two bodyguards, and the lights cut, and there's like flash and a flash. Just someone I suppose now I'd have to say underestimated as a stylist. The film is very stylish. And really. That's cool.
Cool. And even the shot look from Kobayashi's
Stephen Baldwin,
and he's just the way it's very well.
There is a weird thing though. This is maybe you're a glasses guy. Stephen Baldwin just seems to be wearing incredibly thick glasses for no reason. I'm wondering actually, is it a fucking Bruce Lee reference? Because he dresses up in overalls and as a handyman in one of his movies, Bruce Lee, and he wears really thick glasses. But Bruce Lee actually needed really thick glasses apparently. And I'm just wondering, was it just an homage or was it like is it some kind of a thing?
I believe it or not. Like, I'm always the one fucking trying to pick up on all these little things. That didn't even.
I don't know. I think it was because I was wondering, is this a Bruce Lee thing? So it goes into there. They grab him, and they seem to be like, "All right, we'll give you a chance to call this off." And I was like, "All right, that seems like something he wouldn't necessarily do." It's basically played in one shot, or a very, very long take with Kobayashi's face. He pulls it right up at the camera, and the guys all. And it's great. Like
it's
Bryan Singer,
so well done.
Like. I don't know that he got a chance to flex those kind of muscles like with the X-Men movies because you have to. It's the studios will apparently say, "Here's how you shoot a scene." And like, what if my style isn't wide shot, close up? Yeah. Well, this is how you shoot a scene. And blah, blah, blah. It's so well done, and the way Baldwin is like at the end, like it plays up and it finishes up on Baldwin like with him at arm's length with the gun up to his head about to kill him, and I'm like.
And then he drops the bombshell. Miss Finneran will be waiting for me upstairs.
And I will forever love the way he goes, "Before you do me in." Like, how the fuck did he? Fucking brilliant. Like the way he says it ironically.
But it's so. It's just Pete Postlethwaite is just fucking. He's just amazing.
That's the guy. Like he's the agent. Oh, there's another great line where he says, "Whatever you do is ludicrous compared to what will be done to me." And it just sets up that reality of. It does not matter, whatever.
You shoot me, it'll be happy.
It has a sense of a guy who's like, I'm just spitting facts here, man. Like this is where I'm at.
It's someone in full control. That's what it is. Like, do you know what I mean? And he knows.
Brilliant, And the way he threatened them then after that, because he. Again, it's just like the 4D chess thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Of like, well, your missus is here. God knows what we'll do to her. And then he lists out what he'll do to all that. Like when he goes, I might only castrate. But I was like, holy fuck. Like these people are not fucking around. You can see where they're just like, all right, well, we're pretty fucked here.
We're snookered. Like.
Let's just, I guess we're in.
Let's plan this heist.
And then it does go very quickly from there to the final. And they give no details about how they plan the final heist, which again, I have no problem with. But it
kind of doesn't need it because it
absolutely doesn't.
Because what happens is obviously you see Stephen Baldwin setting up Is it Stephen Baldwin with this?
Yeah, with the sniper rifle.
Okay,
yeah.
right, so that alone, and the way Gabriel Byrne is then walking up. Okay, so there's a plan in place.
Yeah, this is
without having to see.
This is what I mean. If it were released today, you'd have some jackass on like, so apparently their great plan is Gabriel Byrne will have some guns and shoot the guys. And I'm like, yeah, it's just fucking interesting. I'd rather see that than
because it's skill and it's pithy and it's like it gets to the point.
They have some good lines.
There's one of the reasons why I think this is one of the greatest screenplays ever committed to film is because there's no fat in this film.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's solid. It's an hour and 46 minutes. And there's no fat in it.
Yeah.
You could easily make this 2.5 hours, and it could still be a great film, but it wouldn't be The Usual Suspects as we know it now. Like, do you know what I mean?
And again, just to bring it back to the alchemy of it all, there's a scene. The only scene we have of them discussing it is Gabriel Byrne basically saying this can't be done. And again, that line I mentioned earlier, where Steve Baldwin says there's nothing that can be. Brilliant. But even the way. So I can imagine the line is Gabriel Byrne says this is going to happen. There's like 20 guys. And he says something like, and if Sonny fact number 2, and I can imagine 99% of actors going, and Sonny point number 2, blah, blah, blah. And he doesn't. He's just saying it flat, like this is this, and Sonny point number 2 is this. They don't play at the obvious, kind of arching your eyebrow kind of like fucking thing. They play it like simultaneously real people, people who are living in a fantasy world, basically. And I can't explain how it happened. It just, obviously, that's how the actors did, or how it's just it works so well.
Yeah, and it's like even how they manage to get onto the boat and all. It's just because it is just kind of like a fucking double-decker bus bursting through a shopping centre. Like it's just like it's bang, bang, bang. We're on the boat.
I miss that. They actually did a thing about that. I'll try not to.
No, actually, it should be pointed out here that Verbal Kint is told to stay off the boat.
Yeah,
so you can live.
Yeah, there should have been 5 of them. There's only 4, and now he's like, no, you stay here.
Yeah,
you're like, well,
you go and get the money or whatever.
Yeah, and he plays it completely sincerely. Gabriel Byrne. He's like, tell Edie this, and he plays the scene very well. Like, tell her, tell her I tried, and I take him completely at his word.
100%.
And I do like
this is where this is. One, because obviously I've stated how I feel about the screenplay. In terms, this is the first time throughout the whole thing. Now I know it's obviously been an unreliable narrator telling the story, but this is the first time I go, well, Gabriel Byrne wouldn't do that. Do you know what I mean? Stay. This is the first time, but in the overall film, the reason why I don't think it takes away in any way is because obviously we don't know it yet, but we're dealing with a fucking compulsive liar. Like, do you know what I mean?
Who the fuck knows? Yeah, they did. And again, maybe that aspect of it is you never really understand, like, why do they think they're such great mates? Because even in he just kind of goes, I know who that is. He doesn't say he's a friend of mine. He's like, I know you. Didn't we meet there? And he's like, yeah, we did. And that's it. Like, and then he's playing it off like he was this great, which goes to the unreliableness of it, And I have to just give a shout out. I've always loved it. There's a shot of Kevin Pollak's like reloading his gun and he's in trouble because they're shooting all these guys. He looks down in slow motion as a guy running at him, and Keaton has 2 guns out, which is very hip in the 90s. And I love the timing of it. And he shoots the guy in the back like in one shot, and I was always like, that's really cool. It's just no meaning, no theme. Just that's pretty badass.
Yeah,
like,
it's just something good to see on screen.
Yeah, again, he's a much stronger stylist, and I get the hats off again to the cinematographer. Like it just looks much bigger than it is.
That's what I'm saying. Like even on the boat, right? Because obviously what's happening here is we may as well just get in that. And we'll talk around it. So we're on the boat. We learn quickly. Actually, sorry, no, I'm jumping ahead.
Well, it gets very back and forth.
Yeah,
I think by this stage we know. So the idea is, and this was actually something Christopher McQuarrie was talking about. He was talking about when he was writing it, the film should be about like a bunch of people with a bunch of money on a boat. And he says at the time, like this was, the early 90s, that was always about drugs. And he said, well, what if it's not drugs? What if it's a person? Why would it be a person? So it's been assumed this whole time
that they're doing
that it's a dope deal, and then
because that's been said.
You don't hear drugs called dope much anymore.
No, but 91 million worth,
which is a lot of money,
and it's missing.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
And so it's been revealed at this stage. No, it's they're there for a guy, and the guy is someone who can identify.
But it's
Keyser
not.
Söze.
I don't think it's then, because does it not cut back to Verbal, and then he goes out and has a conversation, Chaz Palmintardi with somebody, and then he comes back in and goes, "There's no dope." Like, What are you talking
I
about?
can't. Yeah, some of them seem
Or
to
maybe
be.
it's the Hungarian guy from the bed.
The Hungarian guy says that a lot earlier in the film, but you don't really pay attention to
Actually,
it.
yeah, this is one thing as well, because obviously the Hungarian guy is.
He's describing, and they're doing
and
a
it takes
sketch,
them way too long.
which seems like a very like. Well, who knows when that's actually out? But we do get we'll just to talk through it. So that the boys are going through the boat and they're mashing people up, like they're killing people left and right. Kevin Pollak finds the money and he gets killed.
Yes.
How they get away with this, because it's very over the top, but he turns around in like slow motion. He's been shot and he's turning around, and this spotlight on his face just gets brighter and brighter. But there's something kind of genius about it. I wonder, was that in a weird way inspired by Pulp Fiction with the light in the briefcase or something like that? But it's very fantastical, but works at the same time. And I love Stephen Baldwin and Gabriel Byrne meet each other on the boat, and I love the way Gabriel Byrne is like, there is no fucking coke on this boat. Or he goes, there's no coke, you dumb fuck. And I just love the way he says it, like, you dumb fuck.
Yeah. Very, very well delivered. Like.
Yeah.
And this is, like, Stephen Baldwin here as well, and he goes, right, I'm out of here, and then he just disappears, and then that's it, he's gone.
He special marks to him though, because he shows up later and they do a bit of it, like it's so well done you'd forgive it, but they do a stock thing of he's been stabbed but he's walking around, and he goes, strangest thing, he apparently just took a face plant onto the fucking metal boat of the deck, like, and he doesn't put his hands out to fucking save himself.
That's acting.
Hats off to him,
because it doesn't seem too contrived either, like that whole. Because that is a bit stock, like he's walking and he's stabbing.
It is, yeah. And or he has a kind of a nonsensical line before he dies.
Yeah, but even this though, because this is just the genius of the writing. Because at no stage, even watching this, am I assuming what's about, like, who it turns out to actually be.
Yeah.
You know, at no point you're assuming this. Even though what's happening, it's quite clear that it's whoever was not on the boat is after killing.
Well, it's so obvious. Yeah, he's the only one who walked away. Like, who the fuck do you think it is? Like,
See, the thing is, what helps though with that is there's once Kevin Pollak is shot, there's an immediate shot of Verbal somewhere else.
Yeah, they do fuck around with it. Or Keaton gets shot and they cut back to him. Yeah, they do build up on the action scene to a certain point, and then it cuts back. And there's a very good. I don't know. It doesn't lose its impact, but there's a scene where Palminteri is really pushing him. Verbal in the interrogation scene, and he's like, why didn't you help him? You're full of shit. And the way they play it still works, just as, like, even though it's obviously all a put on, but he's like, you were his friend, why didn't you help him? And he goes, what? Because I was afraid. How do you shoot? It's a great line. How do you shoot the devil in the back? And he holds up his kind of crippled hand and he's like, what if you miss? I'm like, it's still like I think it still works because you're like, well, obviously he's convinced, so he's obviously convincing us at the same time. Brilliant, and it's great stuff. Yes,
and so obviously it's that version of events. Then is we see apparently Keyser Söze killed Gabriel Byrne. Now this is where Chaz Palminteri goes back out and says, no, Gabriel Byrne is Keyser Söze, and I don't think you saw him get killed. All this, and this is where it comes back to the ropes from the opening shot, because if you actually watch, right, so when you're seeing him move into that position, he stops before he gets to the ropes.
Okay,
so that's when, maybe in reality, he's gone and killed Kevin Pollak or whatever, but you don't, because you can see gaps all the way through, and then he doesn't pass the final gap.
Yeah, interesting. Yes, nice they were putting in the effort on those details. Yeah, it is good the way. Apparently, they had to go back. So there's a.
This is where your favorite line is, though. This is it was the guy saying it's Keyser Söze.
Oh yeah, I'm telling you, it's Keyser Söze. No, the way he says it is brilliant. Yeah, and he's so scared as well. Like, they just got a great actor for that bit. Yeah, which again just feeds into the kind of the reality of the whole thing. You know?
So obviously, then what's happening now is for the first time it switches from Verbal's version of events, and it's Chaz Palminteri telling him what he knows happened.
So he's going through like all the reasons why it was Dean Keaton, the kind of man who could do this, the kind of man who could do that, and they cut back to all these shots.
The way this is played, it is okay. This is the big reveal.
Yeah,
and it feels like because it's constantly building, because it's the pace of the film and everything has taking a fucking shot of adrenaline at this stage, because it's flicking back between the interrogation scene and the boat, and it's constant talking and it's going quick, and then there's kind of like a payoff. when we see the shot of
and they have
Dean Keaton.
apparently he was kind of reluctant to do that. Like, but Bryan Singer had to like, come on, man, do it. And he was like, why am I doing it? And he apparently said, I'm a big fan of Miller's Crossing or whatever. When you look at it, you're like, well, of course he needed that shot. Like, it's 100%, so obvious,
and it's so cool.
But they obviously just hadn't.
Because he just, and essentially what it is the shot of Dean Keaton shooting
himself,
essentially,
which makes no sense.
But so Verbal seeing someone get shot, but it wasn't Dean, and he's like, and it's really put to him then. And this is where he gets really violent with his language towards poor old Verbal. He's like, he did it because you're stupid, because you're a cripple, because nobody loves you. You know what I mean?
He's awful fucking out. He completely defeats it.
But it happens. And we're told then Dean Keaton is actually Keyser Söze.
Yeah, I do remember the first time I think I knew there was a twist. I can't quite remember, but I remember thinking, oh, okay, that must be it. But I remember thinking, I was hoping for a little more. Yeah. Which is exactly where the makers of the film would want you to be. Is like, okay,
that's not what I was expecting.
Oh, okay, yeah. And it's done in such a way that you're like, oh, okay, yeah. And the way they edit it with the shots of Gabriel Byrne are brilliant.
It's unbelievable.
It's just like him, and you see him, he's kind of off and looking, doing the shifty eyes thing. And they use some outtakes actually from the film. There was a scene, there's a scene with him and Kevin Spacey in an apartment that was very truncated. Apparently it works brilliantly in the final film, but there are scenes from there, and it's very, very convincing. And I did notice now when Kevin Spacey, he breaks down in the scene, but you never see any tears, which is, I believe, intentional. I think we're getting to the point now where we may as well say what it all is. But
obviously he's leaving now, because he's given because Chaz Palminteri's patting himself in the back and goes, I cracked the case.
I figured this out.
You know what I mean?
He might have got away with it this time, but I'll be ready for him.
But so Verbal leaves, and we hear the discussion between Chaz and what's the actor's name? Sorry,
Dan Hedaya.
Dan Hedaya.
Yeah,
and this is where the real twist.
What's genius about it is there's just a shot, kind of looking at. So Chaz Palminteri's sitting on the desk with his back to the camera, and you're looking at it as someone sitting at the desk would see it.
Yes. And
there's a lot of zooms in the film, but they're really well done. And there's kind of zooming in, and he's like, oh man, you're a real slob. And, you know, you kind of get a feeling like, why am I seeing this? The genius of it, and where you weirdly sit up in your seat, is it cuts to the other side, and you can see he's kind of like, Chaz Palminteri's kind of staring off. And even watching it now, I get that memory of, oh, something's up.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
right.
obviously then we see in the bottom corner of the notice board behind the thing, it says Quartet.
Yeah.
And Skokie, Illinois.
Yeah, so I'll leave you explain it. Yeah.
Earlier in the film, basically, this is where we learn everything is a ruse. Because all the information that he's given is written on the wall and the notice board behind them.
Yeah.
And
so at the start
you realise this, but this is because this is it. Because this is now cut between shots of Kevin Spacey leaving. And when he kind of sees the Skokie, Illinois part, then he drops his cup, and on the bottom of the mug it says Kobayashi.
Kobayashi, yeah.
And it's just like, oh my God, what's up? But at this stage, because it's such a gut punch, it's like, wait, hang on, what's going on? Do you know what I mean? And it's not until it cuts to Spacey and his limp ball all of a sudden disappears and his hand straightens out.
Oh, it's famous for a reason. It's impossible to imagine, but I think initially it was something like he drops the cup, because they had to go back and they were like, oh fuck, this doesn't work. Apparently there was a lot of factors for why originally the editing of it didn't work. It must have played something like he saw the sign, he saw like Redfoot, and he saw something else, and he just goes, oh fuck, and he gets out of there, and Kevin Spacey has his little transformation, and he goes out, and it read very flat, and apparently the score wasn't right, because the guy who edited it is a guy called John Ottman. He did the score as well, and I heard him say it was originally like getaway music, or like tense getaway music, but actually when you listen back, it's kind of like esoteric wouldn't be quite the right word, but there's no kind of like dun 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 dun. It's like do 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 do.
And it must be said here though, so it's cutting back also to not just Kevin Spacey leaving the police station, it's different quotes and stuff from the story.
That was all added in. So if you actually watch it really with a very critical eye, there's only like 3 or 4 moments where it cuts to Kevin Spacey saying something, and you see it directly on the the message board. The Skokie, Illinois Redfoot. I think it says Orca Fat, and there's just a fat person. And Picking Beans in Guatemala. Yeah. The rest of it is just made up of like quotes and flashbacks. And that's the genius of what gives it the power is you're like, oh my God.
And some of the lines here though, like, and then obviously Chaz Palminteri's chasing him down the road.
Yeah.
And it always pisses me off. But not in a bad way, just in a, like, he's so close to catching him. And he just, because the car, and I think that's on purpose, like, it's just behind you, Chaz, look.
Brilliant, yeah. And but you know he'd never see it. And he's like, I'm so much smarter than you. And he's been fucking made a fool of.
Stop.
But the shot of, and if you'd explain to someone like why it's brilliant cinema, you'd be like, what? The shot of just Spacey's leg going from the limp to walking is one of the indelible cinematic images of the 90s.
It's unbelievable.
Brilliant, like,
and it's like, and then like the way they edit in some of the quotes from him to like obviously the famous one, the greatest thing the devil ever, or the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist.
Yeah, brilliant.
And
he's gone. Yeah.
And then it's over. And
yeah,
it's
they
like,
did.
Oh,
apparently, originally they were playing with how do we do the transformation. And you seem to me to be a scary movie aficionado. Do you remember? It was the first one.
Is that an insult though?
No, I meant it as a compliment. It's not the one where it turns out I was about to say a very un-PC word. Yeah, he turns out to be the villain. And they actually do in that what apparently the original plan was for this. So Verbal's meant to be this fucking loser kind of type, but apparently he'd come out and he'd like quaff his hair and he'd pull on not quite pull on a leather jacket, but he'd like pop his collar. And they just don't do it. They just let Kevin Spacey, the brilliant actor, do it. He stops limping. He kind of shakes out his hand.
But I love that because you can see that it's hurting him because he's had it in one position.
Yeah, you don't hear like a crack, but you kind of feel it.
Yeah.
He just smokes a cigarette, cool as you like, walks into a car, and you're like, oh.
And who's driving the car but the apparent Kobayashi?
Be positive,
so he's actually turns out to be the most mysterious character because he actually exists.
Who the fuck is he?
Who is he? And what is he?
That is pretty brilliant, yeah.
And it's just because obviously, and it's something that we'll never know. I'm sure maybe Christopher McQuarrie has an idea or something, but
I don't know. Yeah. If he does, I hope he never tells anyone.
I don't want to know. Because I want Kobayashi to live in the reality of my brain. Yeah, it's just so well played.
Well, I remember specifically now because as I said,
can you imagine if they had done something stupid like he has a different accent or something like?
That would have been awful. That, fuck's sake. No, it did strike me. Because apparently people even making the movie now, how much of this is true or not, I don't know. But apparently, I heard Kevin Spacey tell a story where he saw Gabriel Byrne at the premiere fucking chewing Bryan Singer out of it because he thought he was Keyser Söze. And I can I'll just try and talk my way through it.
Gabriel Byrne didn't know.
Now, if you read the script, I'm guessing, you'd be like, how could you miss it? But when it's just words on a page, and if you think about it, right? So the whole thing is, because I remember saying to my cousin, he said, did you see The Usual Suspects? Now I was about 12, and I was like, yeah, he's Keyser Söze, right? And he's like, yeah. Because really, if you think about it, all that's revealed is that he's full of shit.
Yeah.
But from the cinematic language, he's Keyser Söze. But it's never actually explicitly
said.
It kind of is, I suppose, because he goes, and then but he's gone. And he's talking about Keyser Söze, but all the information you're given is this guy's full of shit and he's obviously very clever, but it's never actually. But again, I think that's not a fault. I think that's part of the genius of it. It's like, oh man, how much it is true. Like, what is going on? What is the game being played here? But all you know for sure is he fucking got away with something that he was guilty of more than he let on.
And it's just brilliant. But you're dead right, because it is. Because I'd never even noticed that it's not specifically said.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the genius of it. Yeah.
I suppose, because it does make sense now that Gabriel Byrne may not have realised. Because
again, if it's just words on a page, like whenever I have to read scripts, and there are apparently people much better at it than I am, but the amount of stuff I miss, or I'm like, is this supposed to be like kind of a comedy or something? I've read a load of scripts that I thought were perfectly good, and then I got to page 30, and I was like, oh, this is the kind of thing you're right. Oh, I get it. And they're just very strange things because you can't quite picture them. Like, and a lot of people who write them don't really understand. Like, well, of course, I see it completely in my mind's eye. Here, it's a script. Like, who's Keyser Söze? What? What's going on? So I can kind of see in a weird way where the confusion comes in.
100%.
It's just
It's just
You know,
so
like,
well
yeah,
done. Like this
yeah.
is because I mean I kind of stated at the start that it's kind of like a double bluff or whatever, because you do go, oh right, so Dean Keaton was
Yeah, well, you make a lot of
Keyser
leaps
Söze,
when
and
you're
then-
watching a movie, yeah.
and to quickly just get to the point, and it's actually because it's just because like I said, there's no fat in this film.
Yeah,
there's nothing where there's no point where you're like, Jesus. Do
I
you
know,
what
yeah,
mean?
it's
It
brilliantly
doesn't
done,
happen.
yeah.
It's so well paced, and just because they could have easily not had it as quick. If you know what I mean, it could have been some bleeding control.
Yeah, I was surprised when I went back because I hadn't watched in a few years at how short it is, but how you don't miss or nothing seems rushed.
No,
and
not
I
at
think
all.
the structure certainly helps, like the fact that the voiceover is built in very organically, as much as I kind of push back against that word. No, it is just that lightning in a bottle aspect. Like
and
there
it
is
is,
just
and
something
it's
in the
a
water.
great
of
quote
this
from
film,
Kevin
yeah.
Pollak, because it is that.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah, yeah.
So we've come to the end of the film.
Indeed,
where
yes.
we discuss.
Let me save you here, Keith. What are your non-submersible units
Thank
from
you.
the film? Because I would just say the obvious one, which I'm going to let you say.
Yeah, it's the twist.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
It's the fucking twist. It's the because I mean because some people hate twists. They don't like the rug being pulled out from underneath them. I personally love them. Like, now, obviously, there can be crap twists, but like in terms of the greatest cinematic twists of all time, nothing comes close. I don't think any. Like, I mean, I think one of them is Saw, like where fucking Jigsaw gets up off the ground at the end of it, and it's like that's mind blown. But it doesn't touch this.
Okay, yeah. I would give it to the supernatural film from 4 years later that I won't go into in case anyone misses it. The one with the star of Die Hard with a Vengeance. That would be the biggest twist for me.
What film is it?
Oh, Sixth Sense. You can cut this out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's the king of all twists for me.
Okay,
but,
and that's fair enough.
yeah,
But the reason
this is absolutely up there as well.
Yeah, no, but the reason why that didn't even cross my thinking is because I knew that twist before I ever watched the film.
Okay.
So that film was ruined on me.
No, I went into that one knowing there was a twist and still being like completely fooled by it.
Yeah, no,
So,
but I was.
I knew there was one. I didn't know what it was.
You didn't know what it was, yeah. But
yeah.
see, I knew exactly what it was. So
Okay,
I'm
yeah.
watching it throughout the whole thing, through that prism, and that's why I don't really like that film, because of that.
Really? Okay, yeah.
Because I mean, I can appreciate it, but it was ruined on me. It was robbed me.
Yeah, there's a great bit actually. They do. Is it in Ocean's 12, which no one likes? But there's a load of funny stuff with that because Bruce Willis has a cameos himself in it, and it's full of characters going, "That scene in the restaurant, I knew." The movie still worked for me though, and he's like, "Oh, you're fucking." That's about the only good thing about that film. Yeah, do you know what I will say about a non-submersible unit? Which, see how you react to this. I would weirdly say Gabriel Byrne.
Yes.
When I think of the film, I think of him. He does not have the showiest character. Like, he's the one who has, like, in the lineup scene, he actually doesn't really have much to do. Like, he just says the line, and that's the scene where you're kind of let loose. So it's a character. But there's something about him that ties it together, and I can't quite put my finger on it. But the casting of the film is just so
It's on
impeccable.
point.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
everybody there's not, like I said, there's no fat in this script, but there's also no bad performances. There's not one.
No weak
throughout
link,
the whole
no.
film. Like small characters, larger characters. It's all so on point. See, it just goes to show. Like, I don't think this film gets made in 2025. That's the thing about it. It might get maybe some streamer or something might do it.
Yeah, I'd find out. Yeah,
But I don't.
an independent. Yeah,
I don't think this happens. And like, can you think? Because I mean, obviously we have our classics, and I mean, it's very easy to go, oh well, what's already been done is the best. Do you know what I mean? And it can't be topped. But how many fucking modern classics are we missing out on because nobody will make them?
the mind
know what I mean?
boggles. Yeah, like it's script like this, and again, it was made in kind of weird circumstance. I think it was independent film, but like they do not put films like this in the cinema anymore, as far as I can tell.
And all I want to do is go to the cinema and see a 90-minute wonder, which I'd put this in that category because it's only an hour and 45.
Yeah, it is. Funny enough, it didn't do amazingly at the box office. I heard Christopher McQuarrie talk about that. It was really on video now where it exploded.
But see, that happens a lot, especially when there's big reveals. I've often found that, like, if you look through the box office numbers of a lot of things where there's massive reveals, people ruin them on people and spoil them. And they go, well, I'm not going to watch that.
Yeah, he did say he was very... Oh, sorry, just to go back to... So the casting of Kevin Spacey would, I suppose, have to be a non-submersible unit as well. He's great. There's a good... that Christopher McQuarrie interview I heard, he said they were him and Bryan Singer were watching, I think it's I can't remember the name of the film, but there's an evil guy on a college campus or something, and you're like, who is, I think it's meant to be a rapist or something like that, or what was your, a hairy apist? And he says there's like a janitor character in it, and it's fucking Tobin Bell, the guy from Saw. This is in the early 90s, and he says as soon as he showed up in the movie as a janitor, he turned to Bryan Singer and said, "Do you see why we need Kevin Spacey?" Because the genius of casting a guy who through the whole film is staring you in the face, and then you're like, oh my fucking God. Like, but you never thought of him. If it was a more villainous kind of a
even if he doesn't have the limp, you're like, maybe maybe there's potential for this. But just because he's a cripple, because he's stupid.
Yeah, the genius is he's a very powerful actor. So the transition from that into the cool guy, it's less than a minute in the film, but it still needed to be very believable and authentic. Just fucking brilliant. Like,
unbelievable.
Yeah, great stuff. Yeah.
So, rating.
5 out of 5.
5 out of 5. There's no point in
it's one of the classics it's one of the reasons when people say 90s cinema, and just so everyone knows, if younger people are watching, we were saying in the early 2000s that the 90s were a great decade for film. It's not a recent thing. This is one of the films that you think of when you think 90s movies were really great.
Absolute classic.
Particularly crime movies, and just to place it like it's not really lumped in with Tarantino, but you would think of it kind of a piece. I don't see a lot, apparently, apart from it being a crime film, it's not postmodern in any way. Like, it's very straightforward, and it's not kind of going like, hey, nudge, nudge, wink, wink. You could maybe say some of the stuff of, some of the tropes of it, like, oh, it's a guy telling a story, so he's making it more gangstery, but I don't see overt postmodernism in it, which is wanky. We were saying something about wanky kind of comments, but how wanky was that? But I stand by that, goddamn. It's a very straightforward, non-ironic crime movie.
Okay, so I think that pretty much wraps us up for
you give it a 5
week.
As well, yeah.
I give it a 5, yeah. I said it, yeah.
Oh, fair enough, yeah.
Don't worry,
I zoned out there.
It's on record.
I was thinking of how the postmodern was the right term there.
But yeah, like, I mean, there's no point in...
Yeah, there's nothing else to say. It's a classic for a reason. Yeah.
So, thanks very much for joining us again this week. I quite enjoyed discussing The Usual Suspects.
I would hope so. Yeah.
Let's hope Boiler Room can keep the
air in the room. Yeah, we'll see.
All right.
Quizás, as our Spanish language viewers would say.
Yeah.
What do you think, guys? What's the greatest twist in cinematic history?
Yeah, let us know. Because I mean, I'll die on the hill. It's The Usual Suspects, but I'm open to...
I wouldn't fight you on that hill, I would say. Yeah, I wouldn't fight you.
So that's everything for this week. So thanks very much for watching. Like, follow, subscribe, all that usual good stuff. And we'll catch you on the next one.
Peace out.
Yeah, bye-bye.